We are talking about newly revealed FBI notes this morning, and joining me right now to talk about that is Congressman Jim Jordan and former Congressman Trey Gowdy. Congressman Jim Jordan, ranking member of the Judiciary Committee. Trey Gowdy, former prosecutor, House Oversight Committee, formerly House Oversight Committee chairman, and a Fox News contributor. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We are looking at these notes written about that interview with General Flynn. First off, let me get both of your takes on what was most stunning. Trey Gowdy, you looked at this, and of course, we had an additional dump of documents this past week. What struck you?
That there was absolutely no evidence that Michael Flynn was an agent of a foreign power. The entire time they spent looking at him in December of 2016, they had nothing. So they're about to close the investigation without even interviewing him. Keep in mind, they had no interest in interviewing Michael Flynn. They're about to close the case. Then you get the call with Kislyak, and Peter Strzok seems more interested in setting up an American general than he is figuring out what the Russian generals were doing to this country. They send two agents over there without informing the White House, without informing the Department of Justice, and they wanted to set him up. That is not the FBI that this country needs.
Yeah. Jim Jordan, your reaction to these notes from Mr. Priestap, which basically tells us that it was a total setup. They were saying, look, do we want to get him to lie? What do we want to get him to say? Congressman.
Think about what. Yeah, Maria, think about what happened in 3 weeks in January of 2017. On January 3rd, Chuck Schumer on the Rachel Maddow show says this in response to a statement that President-elect Trump had said, where he said we were being spied on. Schumer says, if you mess with the intel community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. The very next day, January 4th, Trey just talked about it. Peter Strzok overrules the agents who say Mike Flynn did nothing wrong, overrules them because Comey and McCabe told him to. January 6th, the FBI and other people in the intel community in the Obama administration go to Trump Tower and try to set up the president. Remember, this is where Jim Comey says after the meeting's done, I want to talk to the president. He tells the president about the dossier. The dossier they already knew was false. They knew was Russian disinformation, and they knew was paid for by the Clinton campaign. And then just 2 weeks after that, we have the FBI going to the White House to set up Michael Flynn. All that happens in 3 weeks' time. This shows you they were out to get the president, and they were willing to do whatever it took to get him, including going after a 3-star general who had served our country for 3 decades.
What I want to know is this going to be the beginning of the dominoes falling? I mean, Trey, you did an excellent job. Jim Jordan, you did an excellent job really digging in and getting to the bottom of this. We know the bad actors, Jim Comey, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page. Will we see accountability, Trey?
Well, accountability, I mean, you can have it in the executive branch with prosecutions, but accountability, Maria, takes consensus. I bet Jimmy can't name a single Democrat that is interested in the House at looking into the treatment of the FBI. When I was there, the Democrats finally found a cop that they liked. Unfortunately, his name was Peter Strzok, whose only interest in this investigation was if it would lead to the impeachment of Donald Trump. So accountability requires consensus. Where is it?
They won't even, Maria,
let's take a short break. Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
They won't even have a hearing where they bring in Michael Horowitz. After the investigation he did into the Carter Page spies, that they wouldn't even bring him in for a hearing. Jerry Nadler or Carolyn Maloney wouldn't even bring him in.
And we still haven't heard from them. You're right. All right, let's take a short break. I want to ask you about Christopher Wray and the Mueller report. Stay with us. I am back with Congressman Jim Jordan and Trey Gowdy. Congressman Jordan, let me ask you, you just said a minute ago on our way out, Jerry Nadler will not even bring Michael Horowitz in to question. We already know that they made 17 errors, according to the IG report. You're saying that your committee chairman will not bring him in to find out what the heck happened here?
No, he had this scathing report about the Carter Page spies that wouldn't bring him in, neither would the Oversight Committee. And now Mr. Horowitz is working on a broader look at FISA. And just 4 weeks ago, he sent out a memo which said he's looked at 29 cases. 29 cases, random sample, 29 cases, and there were major problems in every single one. In 4 of those cases, they couldn't even find the Woods file, which is the file they keep, which has the sort of basic evidence, underlying evidence that they then use to take to the court. Couldn't even find the Woods file. And what I find interesting is 2 months ago, when Chris Wray did testify, FBI Director Wray testified in front of the Judiciary Committee, he told us we could all sleep well at night. The FISA process is fine. Well, somebody's wrong here. Either Christopher Wray's wrong when he said we can all sleep well at night, or Michael Horowitz. And I'll tell you what, Mr. Horowitz has done good work. So I'm wondering what Christopher Wray's really up to when it comes to reforming this FISA process, which we know was at the heart of this whole Trump-Russia investigation.
I'm sorry, how arrogant is that? Go sleep well at night with all of this when we know what the cabal did. Trey Gowdy, Peter Strzok is a kingpin here. He's the one who interviewed General Flynn. He was simultaneously working on an investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails. So did he lie then? And did he lie on the Hillary Clinton email investigation? Is that going to come up again?
Well, Maria, the FBI, those letters stand for fidelity, bravery, and integrity. So I'm going to ask you and your viewers, which of those words come to mind when you think of Peter Strzok promising to stop candidate Trump, interested in the impeachment but not the interference? Which of those three words comes to mind when you hear Jim Comey say, we're going to see what we can get away with, or when you read notes about a pretextual defensive briefing? Which of those three words that's supposed to personify the FBI, which of those three words do you think about over the last 4 years when the world's premier law enforcement agency has been riddled with bias and incompetence? So Chris Wray,
yes.
Look, he didn't start the problems, but he's been there for 2 years. We need an FBI that we can trust. And what I read in these notes is not the FBI I used to work with.
Yeah, it's great to get your take on both your